Hello children, welcome back to our science session. If you remember, we have started with lesson number 2, microorganisms, friend and foe. Okay, we have learned how the microorganism is a friend, and now we'll come to the next part wherein the microorganism is a foe. Now, before we start, if you remember, we have learned about vaccinations, we have learned about antibodies, antibiotics, and the different types of microorganisms. So, I would like to share you the names of certain big personalities, wherein you can see the picture over here is Sir Alexander Fleming. He was the person who discovered penicillin. Now, how did he discover penicillin? He was working actually on a flu virus and was studying a bacteria called Staphylococcus. Now, during his study, he found that in the glass dish there was a mold. Now, in this mold, some of the bacteria had been killed. So, later on, he realized that this mold was an antibiotic. So this antibiotic was later on named as penicillin, which when introduced in the year 1940 completely changed the way how the people were treated. Next you can see Edward Jenner. He is known as the father of immunology. Now he was a person who discovered the vaccination for smallpox. The other scientist you can see, that is Louis Pasteur. He discovered the process of fermentation. Fermentation we have already studied. And next we have the discovery of pasteurization. That is in the later part of the chapter. We can see it is actually a process of killing the bacteria by heating. Okay, now we'll start how the organisms can be harmful. That is the harmful microorganisms. Now, harmful microorganisms, why they are called? Because they cause diseases in human beings, also in plants and animals. Okay, such disease causing microorganisms are called as pathogens. You can see it is written pathogens. So pathogens are those microorganisms which causes disease in the human beings, plants as well as animals. Not only diseases, they spoil the food, clothing and leather. So when you say spoil the food, means you know that when you keep your food for 2 to 3 days like that without any care, even after if you keep it in the morning and if you try to eat it in the evening, there will be a sour taste. So that is spoil. Similarly, clothing, you can have your leather chappal, shoes or bag many times during the rainy season. There is a velvety structure seen. So that is actually the growth of microorganisms. So that is again spoiled. Now these disease causing microorganisms, how do they enter our body? These pathogens enter our body through the air we breathe. You can see through the air we breathe, through the water we drink and through the food we eat. Now we go and roam around here and there. At present also we are told not to go around. This is the reason, because the microorganisms are present in the air. So when you breathe, these microorganisms enter our body through the nostrils. Similarly, through the water we drink, water is generally looking very clean, but actually it may contain microorganisms too. Similarly, the food we eat, so we don't know because they are very small, we can't see. Now, these disease causing microorganisms we'll learn in detail. Now, not only through these things, how do a person, supposing if you are not going out, you are sitting at home, you drink clean and pure water, at the same time you are eating a good food, but still if you cause a disease, if you get a disease, how is it possible? So it is also possible by transmission by direct contact. So how direct contact? Direct contact with an infected person. So infected person means this microbial disease, they spread from an infected person to a healthy person through this way, that is through air, food or physical contact. Not only through human beings, even these microorganisms are carried by animal also. So the disease which are spread from an infected person to a healthy person through air, water, food or physical contact is called as communicable disease. They are called as communicable. So this is the definition, the communicable disease. So you know that when a person suffering from common cold, किसी को सर्दी होती है, he or she sneezes. So what happens is actually fine droplets of moisture carrying thousands of viruses are spread in the air. The virus may enter the body of a healthy person while breathing and cause infection. Now communicable disease, you can see some of the main common disease, that is cholera, common cold, chicken pox and tuberculosis. Tuberculosis is TB. Next, carriers of these disease causing microorganism. We have learned that some of the animals are also the disease. Some of the animals also carry, not only human beings. So which are those? You can see house flies. Yes, house flies is very common. Okay, we'll come to the topic of house flies later. Then you have Anopheles mosquito. You can see the image, Anopheles mosquito. The third we can learn is the female Aedes mosquito. The female Aedes mosquito. These three, you can say they are carriers. Carrier means what? They take the microorganism from one place to another. Now housefly is such a big carrier. You might have seen during rainy season too many houseflies. What they do is these flies sit on the garbage and animal excreta. The pathogens get stick to their bodies, and when these flies sit on uncovered food, they may transfer the pathogens. So whoever eats the contaminated food is likely to get sick. Contaminated means bigda hua. That one is which is spoiled or it contains microorganism. So that is why we always give advice, or it is always advisable to always eat only those food which are covered. Never have uncovered foods. Next carrier you can see Anopheles mosquito. Anopheles mosquito is a carrier actually. It is not a cause. Many times के मलेरिया कैसे हो गया और मच्छर ने काटा. Malaria is not caused by a mosquito. Okay. Malaria is caused by a microorganism called Plasmodium. Actually, this mosquito carries this parasite Plasmodium and it enters through your blood. So the mosquito bites. So what happens is the Plasmodium enters your body. Similarly, you have a Aedes mosquito, that white color dotted structure you can see. This is a specification of Aedes mosquito. Here, they spread the malaria or dengue. Aedes is responsible for spreading dengue. Now, how can we stop breeding these mosquitoes? Breeding means the mosquito gets multiplied, the number increases. So all the mosquitoes generally breed in water. That is why during rainy season we have so many mosquitoes at home. So what should we do so that the breeding does not take place? Okay. One should not let water collect anywhere. So nowhere near our surroundings where we stay, anywhere, water should not be allowed to be collected. Why? Because they start breeding. So which are the main places? You can see coolers, tires and flower pot. These are the three main places. Coolers everybody is having. Tires, when it is not used, we throw it here and there, used for playing, so rainwater gets collected. And even flower pot we use, keep it in water. So again, chances of breeding of mosquitoes are possible. So we should avoid this. So we should also keep the surroundings clean and dry. So when it is dry, we can prevent mosquitoes from breeding. So if you take these cares, we can at least avoid the spread of malaria. Now, if you see on your screen, you can see certain common human diseases. This is exactly what is there in your textbook. Okay, you have 4 columns. The first column is human disease. Then you have the microorganism responsible. the mode of transmission, that is how does it get transmitted. Then the preventive measures. The first one you can see tuberculosis, measles, chickenpox and polio. The responsible microorganism for tuberculosis is bacteria, measles is virus, chickenpox is virus, polio is also virus. Now, how does tuberculosis get transmitted? That is through air. A TB patient, if he starts coughing, there are possibility of transmission of the microorganism. So, similarly, the other disease also you can see. So, what are the care or prevention we have to take, that is also mentioned in general. I think it is clear. Okay, this we were talking about human beings. Even some diseases in animals are also caused by microorganisms. Who discovered that? Actually, the disease causing microorganism was discovered by this scientist, that is Robert Koch. What did he discover? He discovered the bacterium which causes anthrax disease. Anthrax. This anthrax disease is caused in human as well as cattle. Not only in humans but also in cattle. Even one more virus is there, that is foot and mouth disease of cattle is caused by a virus, foot and mouth disease. Okay, now this was about human beings we learned, now animals, and now we'll start with plants. So here you can see the image, a table, common plant disease caused by microorganism. We have three main disease: citrus canker, rust of wheat and yellow vein of bindi. Citrus canker is just for citrus fruit, that is sour fruit, say for orange, lemon and all such kind of fruit. Then you have bindi, that is another name is okra. You can see the responsible microorganism is also there. So this was all about common diseases. Now the next topic which we are going to learn is about food poisoning. So how does the food gets poisoned? Poisoned in the sense some microorganisms are there such that which spoil our food. So when you consume, what happens is it becomes a toxic substance is produced. So which makes the food poisonous and causes serious illness. And because of that illness, even death is also taking place. So the microorganisms grow on our food and they produce toxic substances which when consumed makes the food poisonous, causing illness and even death. So it is very important to preserve food and prevent it from getting spoiled. You can see the images over there, the fruits getting spoiled, as well as there is a bread. The bread which is shown which is spoiled. Now if you don't want to be the food to be spoiled, what should we do? Yes, we should preserve it. We should preserve the food. Now we will learn certain methods to prevent our food. So this spoiled food, actually what they do is they microorganisms spoil a food. The spoiled food emits bad smell. You know that when you keep a food for a longer period of time, you get a bad smell. So from that bad smell we can say कि ये बिगड़ा हुआ खाना है, not to eat. Your mother might have told कि नहीं ये बिगड़ा हुआ, leave it. Okay, so that is a spoiled food. It gives a bad taste also, and some of the food they change the color when it is spoiled. So that is actually spoiling food, that is a symbol. Okay, now how to preserve the food? There are certain chemical methods using certain chemicals. So chemical means what? Chemical means you have salt, edible oil, these are all chemicals to check the growth of microorganisms so that they doesn't grow. They are called as preservatives. Those substances which are used to preserve the food are called as preservatives. Similarly, we use salt also in certain pickles. Then we use two main chemical substances, that is sodium benzoate and sodium metabisulfite. These are the two main common preservatives. Some are also used for jams. You know that jam you can keep it for a longer time. Your mouth might be watering now, right? Bread jam. Even in roti also we can apply jam, or even simply you can lick also. Then you have squashes, so that also helps us to keep it for a longer period of time. So the methods is by preservation by common salt. Okay, we'll just see the methods at present. Preservation by common salt, then preservation by sugar, preservation by oil and vinegar, then you have heat and cold treatments, that is you have to give heat as well as cold treatment, and then you have storage and packing. Storage and packing means these foods have to be stored in such a way that they do not get spoiled. Now we learn or understand each method one by one. The first one is preservation by common salt. So preservation means common salt, what to do? Okay, so common salt has been used to preserve meat and fish, especially for since ages. How they are doing meat and fish, they are covered with dry salt, so to check the growth of bacteria. Not only for meat and fish, even we are using common salt to store amla, raw mangoes, tamarind, etc. You can see the figure. Yes, very tempting. Correct. Next method is preservation by sugar. The most common jams, once again, jams, jellies, squash. Squash is nothing but sharbat. Okay, though that is termed as squash. They are also used by sugar. Now what actually sugar does is they reduce the moisture. The moisture is reduced. Actually moisture is responsible for the growth of microorganism. So if there is no moisture, the microorganism will not grow. That is, it inhibits. Inhibits means stops. It stops the growth of bacteria. The third method is preservation by oil and vinegar. You know that especially pickles. Pickles you can see oil floating. Yes, the oil is used because we want to preserve it for 1 year. You might have seen your mother using oil for pickles. Yes, oil and vinegar, they prevent the pickles getting spoiled because bacteria cannot live in this oily environment. Is it clear? Even it is used for vegetables, fruits, fish and meat. Aha, my mouth started watering looking at the pickles. Okay, now next method is heat and cold treatment. That means you have to heat also and you have to give the cold. Why? Because you might have seen whenever you get milk, what your mother does, first she keeps in the fridge. Okay. Now many times if she wants it at that point of time, she gets it and boil. Why boiling? Even you know that during rainy season or some, if you are sick, what does she do? She boils water and give it to you because boiling kills the microorganisms. Boiling kills the microorganisms. That means we are giving a heat treatment. So boiling kills microorganism. The other I said cold treatment means simple. We keep it in the refrigerator. As soon as you get your fruits, some of the fruits, even some of the vegetables, even some of those items, we keep it in the fridge because it stays there for a longer period of time. In the refrigerator, the temperature is too low. So in such kind of low temperature, the microorganism cannot survive. So this temperature inhibits the growth of microbes or microorganisms. Now we have seen few moments back the person called Louis Pasteur. Yes, Louis Pasteur was the discoverer of pasteurization. If you have seen here अमूल मिल्क का पैकेट आप देखो वहां पे लिखा होगा पेस्चराइज्ड बटर. What is it actually? This is what pasteurization is. So what exactly is done in pasteurization? The milk, it is heated for up to about 70 degrees Celsius. Till that time period when it reaches, it is heated for 15 to 30 seconds. Till that period it is heated and suddenly it is chilled. Not gradually, slowly nahi hota temperature down. Suddenly it is chilled and then it is stored. So by doing this, what happens? It prevents the growth of microorganisms. So this process, that is heating up to 70 degrees Celsius for 15 to 30 seconds and that suddenly chilling and storing is called as pasteurization. Okay, it was discovered by Louis Pasteur. Next is storage and packing. Remember wafer, lace, Balaji? Yes. If you open that, you always feel that, oh, nothing is there inside. Yes, it's because it is airtight. It is sealed in airtight packets so that the microbes do not get inside and store our food. Okay, so for this particular lecture we have finished this many topics. We'll continue with the last topic, that is nitrogen fixation and nitrogen cycle, in the next session. Till then, have a nice day. Please go through the topics once again.